another Conversations That Matters. My name is Brittany Butler.
And I'm Michelle Treese.
And tonight we have some great guests with us. We're going to speak with Jason and William. And we hope you enjoy this conversation.
So we'll get started. All right. So we're going to have you guys introduce yourself.
Okay.
We'll start with William.
Okay.
Just tell us a little about what you do.
Okay. I'm William Isom. I'm from Hamlin County, Tennessee, and I'm the director of the Black and Appalachia Project. Yeah.
Great. And then we've got...
I'm Jason J. Flack. I'm from Johnson City. I'm somewhat of a speaker and artist and hopefully a motivational ambassador here soon by way of JC, of course.
Great.
Very cool. And we have Jason returning with us. So they're
My second
happy to
time.
have you back with us as a return visit.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep track and do like Saturday Night Live. And
Let's do it. Reoccurring guest.
Yeah. So William, can you tell us a little bit about the Black and Appalachia?
Yeah, it's a 10-year-old organization now. It started out as a project, and we work to highlight and document and make available Black narratives in the Mountain South. That means East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, Western North Carolina, and even though it's not technically the Mountain South, Southeast Ohio, we pop around in Pittsburgh and Birmingham as well. A lot of people don't realize Birmingham is an Appalachian city, but it is. Yeah, we do that through a lot of different ways: filmmaking, eating snacks, filmmaking, digitizing school records, digitizing people's personal collections, making weird stickers.
Yeah, I own some.
So any way that we can, kind of to quilt together these scraps that we have of our history spread across the geography to help tell a tale.
You said about 10 years ago, and so I'm assuming there wasn't much information, or I feel like folks don't know that there is a strong history of Blacks in Appalachia.
Well, we called it Black in Appalachia on the shoulders of the work of people that came before us. Like Dr. William Turner wrote a book called Blacks in Appalachia. And so there had, Carter G. Woodson was from Appalachia, the father of Black History Month. Delaney, God, what is his name? I can't remember his name. He's from West Virginia. He's like the father of Black nationalism. And so Booker T. Washington was from West Virginia. And so there's a rich history of folks that came before us that carried this history. So, the teachers in these segregated one-room schoolhouses, those people came before us. And so, and my aunts and uncles and cousins older than me. So, it's just about taking those narratives that are already there and have not been considered and raise them up for consideration.
Love that.
Very interesting. So if someone wanted to find out more about what you guys do, where would we go?
We're really active on social media. So Instagram, Facebook, not Twitter, but TikTok. But we also have a website, blackandappalachia.org. And it's got all the films, all the projects that we're working on are on the website as well.
That's great. That is really cool.
And YouTube. We got a bunch of videos on YouTube, oral histories and things like that.
I know I was watching PBS, and they made a reference to something with Black and Appalachia. And I went online, and I just started looking through some things, and clicked on one video, and they were talking about the picnic, I think it is.
Tennessee Picnic?
Tennessee Picnic, yeah. And in this little conversation, I just did some DNA analysis, and I found family that I didn't know about. And there was my aunt that I'd known about when I was a kid, but I recently met her. Like 2 years later, there she was talking about.
What's her name?
Zora.
Zora.
And she's from like Danridge.
Okay, yeah.
Area.
She talked about feeding families,
yes,
white and black, that were poor, and people were migrating. I guess it was the Great Depression, and people were traveling through. And she said her house was like the stop where people knew they could get a meal at. Yeah, in Dandridge.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So and I'm always sending Jason stuff about his family. I'm like, is this your folks? Is this your folks?
Yeah. He's helped me out because there's a lot of stray Flacks. You know what I mean? And it's cool to piece that because it's just tales like Zora. Mm-hmm. You might just know of these people. There's tales, and you don't know if it's true or how even realistic it is if you hear those tales. And I feel like I was blessed to know stuff like that. But when you see tombstones, people before you, and he says Flack, you're like, okay, well that's not a usual name, or So
Yes.
no, he always lobs up information like, hey, I'm with the Flacks in Western North Carolina. I'm like, that's where we started. So I always he's like a journeyman. He's doing the footwork, and that's not an understatement. There, it's that's a task, and I think it's he's creating a web of. You already heard the names he mentioned that were already impactful historical figures, not just Black history, American history. Imagine the connections they had too. If we make them, if we don't make them, they just hide under rocks still.
Right. So I just found out that you two know each other. So how did you meet, and how does that rotate into what you do?
You want mine first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'll let you rest.
It might be different.
No, well, I mean, yeah, maybe. Because I was aware of William probably late 2019. Everyone that I worked with at ETSU, because I'm kind of, I'm sort of like an artist freelancer aligned with ETSU, which is a cool position to be in. And it was always like, do you know William Isom? And I was like, no, I kept hearing that, and they always had great things to say about William. And I know why now. But really, I started seeing his name pop up in more shows along with mine, and it was like a lot to do with history and photography. And I'm like, who is this dude? They keep telling me to meet him. I kind of look like him. I look like family. And we finally, we didn't meet, but we were in a show called, what was it? It was in August 2020. It was like it was right when I was collaborating with ETSU at its origin, really. And I thought art was really going to fall off a cliff in COVID prime. Oh, yeah. And it actually ended up being a very necessary large stepping stone. Like I said, I was ready to give up because I thought, well, this is done. Because we were on a roll in 2019. Art was starting to get, as I mentioned earlier, Jane and John's attention. And then, but then ETSU looked out for me, and I guess being involved with the community that I am, and especially then too, not really knowing any better, they're like, get Jason in there. He's got all kinds of work. And I worked for 10 years at a little house I affectionately called the Shack. This little house. It was about as big as like a large living room, no closets. And for 10 years, that's all I did was create. So I keep sort of like an artist illusion. I can be in shows with stuff that's 13 years old. Wow. You know what I mean? And we, what was the show? From Appalachia to Appalachia, Our Place, and yada yada. Right? It was like this. Yeah. It was this deep show. It was a lot of artists that were that I knew of, and a lot that I didn't. But there was that name again, and we didn't meet them. And I'm like, okay, we're starting to align. And now I don't remember exactly if we met in person or I think it was like email, right? Like maybe first.
Yeah, I think so. You had met Alana before me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then it was really like it was just last year, really, because we communicated in via email, like we know what's happening. Yeah. And he immediately said, "No, I want you for a mural." Immediately, like, "No, I want you for a mural." I was like, "Dude, okay, just let me know." And a year that year, which was last year, I told him, I said, I can't give you a definite. I was actually kind of busy, but I'm thinking October. October has really dry weather. It's that weird transitioning kind of before fall or right when kind of summer's finally leaving, but it still can get real hot. I was like, dude, let's do it, and that was it. We met, and he opened his doors to us and fed us, and we knocked that mural out like. Like nobody's business, man.
How long did it take to do a mural, and how big was it?
It's crazy because it seems like I'm like it was done cheaply or something, but we really knocked it out in less than I don't know, a day and a half maybe.
They slept on the floor.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, not they, me. I let my buddy, he's my friend Matt.
Oh, he slept on the couch.
Yeah, he slept on the floor. But I was like, if I'm dragging him in this, I'll sleep on the floor because I know I'm tough enough. I can deal with that. I was sore. I'm almost 40. So, but
You gotta get you an air mattress.
But now I have a cot now after the fact. But I just that's how focused I get. It's just a mission. It's just get it done. Don't waste time. And having my friend Matt there was like having my twin back again. It was like you don't have to really even speak. You just know it's in sync. It's synchronized. And of course elements. The weather was perfect. It was freezing, but we worked until 2 a.m. and it was freezing cold. And the only reason we stopped is because the paint was starting to freeze in the when we were dipping it and spraying it. It doesn't work properly, so we're like, let's stop.
I thought it was because of the coyotes.
The coyotes were cool. That was a cool part, man. It's out there in Whitesburg. You can drive right by and not know you even passed it. That was. To me, that was great to get out there where I could see a full sky, set of stars, hear coyote. Literally, it sounded like hundreds. They're loud.
Yeah.
And they actually drowned out the sounds of the barking dogs right behind us, in this house right behind us. And it actually was poetic. It was a little eerie. It was really close to Halloween. so it was a little eerie, but at the same time, it was like, I don't know. I just welcome that kind of stuff. We actually hear crickets chirp and certain night birds doing their thing and getting away from the hustle and bustle and exhausts and brake dust and all that. Like it was just, all of it was cool. But I wanted to really show off. Now I can say that I wanted to show him like I'm gonna knock that out. I'm gonna knock that out. You will be impressed and it'll be awesome. And I think it's awesome. So I think it's like 10 by 50 feet.
Wow.
So it's no joke. That's what I tell John City. Like I told you we can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you leap over us all the time, I told you.
Yeah.
And I'm cheap. I can make things out of nothing.
Yeah. So where is this in Whitesburg?
It's on the corner of Silver City Road and Highway 11E.
So the main road, like going into toward Morristown.
Yeah.
From on 11E. It's behind the building, and it's actually at a junction of 113 and 11E, the two highways there, right beside the Dollar General store. But the cool thing is you see it when you approach from the railroad tracks and community members coming across the road. It's like it's not on the main road, but people who live in the community use that road. And people immediately were like,
instant. Yeah.
We're given like adulation.
It's just another barometer or maybe even litmus test of I keep saying it because that's my new mission is to stir up, maybe even chase, capture, and keep the interest of the public because they have no idea that there are creators like us, like myself, and it's so powerful. Art saved my life. That's why I consider it no less than a religion. So as long as I'm alive, I'll keep being a sort of an evangelist for that, a messenger. But at the same time, I'm glad you got me, but I'm going to impress you. And immediately those people, these are folks that it's. I'm on another mission too. It's beyond color. It's beyond anything. It's all soulful. It's beyond anything that's superficial. And that's not to diss anybody's journey. I'm talking about for me, right? Because no matter where I was at in a room, I was the whitest or blackest thing. So see why I would get beyond these things. Like I'm beyond that. I've been someone's black friend, but I've also been treated like a baby deer, pat and looked at. So I'm done with that. I'm on a soulful journey, and those people coming up, crossing that, because you can hear them. You can hear them over the railroad track. They would stop and just stare. Can I take pictures? And here we got our rollers in our hands, paint from head to toe. Are y'all the artist? you know what I'm saying? But the reception was awesome. That's pretty cool to go. You go out of town. You go to a place that you don't know anybody. One fella, and you get that reception. And even we stopped. It was like a month or two ago. We stopped, and there was people still slowing down. Still people preaching. We even got like extra jobs just from people seeing us out there. Like, you guys do art? Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. But that's cool though. But I've had to work around JC, and it's when I first came out. I sort of was like viewed as an antagonist, and I didn't mean to come off that way. But then if I did, so be it. You know what I mean? I was because I knew I had the talent, and I was going to outrun them and look in the rear view anyway. and that takes so much energy for me to say, because I used to be a shy person that would be afraid to be first in line, and I was afraid to make A's because of the attention. You get what I'm saying? So now when I say that I am the right amount, and then in some places I am more than the amount, I mean it. It's taken a long time for me to imagine and think of a value in the mirror.
Yeah.
But I produce. I don't take. I give. That's all I do is give. I'm giving now. And I don't take that lightly.
I think more people who have something to give, whether it's their intelligence, their art, their athletic abilities, whatever it is that they have to give, I think more people have to have that mind frame that you have, that I am enough and I'm probably even more. But I need you to see this, because I'm not in the business of just being with me in the corner by myself doing this. I'm here to give and to serve. But you got to have somebody else to receive that.
Yeah, there's got to be reciprocation.
Yes.
And all my heroes were loud and bold. It gets real tiring being a wallflower after a while. You watch people at least swing and try. They fail, or they swing and hit the ball, whatever.
Right.
Then you watch people born on at home and think they swung and hit a home run. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So coming from where I come from, and living too poor and fast to even appreciate art, I just make up for that. I make up for not walking a stage. I don't know if I said this last time. I'm gonna say something. My dad, and I'm eating up all the time, so I apologize. But my dad said something to me real cool and recently to me, because I still am charged up. I'm still thinking of myself that used to run away and deceive and hide when it got rough. I think of that man, that person, that young man, and then my sister dies. You're left with thinking your world stops, but tomorrow's Tuesday, right? It keeps going, and can no longer run. And my dad said, I asked him, I said, Dad, or I told him, I said, pardon me, I said, Dad, I'm just trying to make up for not graduating college. Like I didn't really do much. I mean, I wasn't a scrub. I worked. I kept myself busy. Never got in riffraff or nothing like that. Now some of my partners did, right? Like I saw that. It wasn't tertiary. It was right there. Yeah. And in this bowl in the Tri-Cities, they want to call it Appalachian Highlands, whatever. it's like a skating bowl. You can go up like this, but you can keep going back down. You can go up like this, and you can see out. But if you don't push, you can get on fentanyl or whatever, insert whatever. Right? I'm aware of that. I cannot do that. Wasn't going to do that anyway. But I said, Dad, I'm just, and this was just like maybe last year or 2 years ago. And I said, Dad, I'm just trying to make it up, man. I feel like now I feel like I would excel in a school in system now. Back then I was. Like I said, I was a knee bouncy kid. Just, I got to get outside. I got to do something. Keep me busy. And he said, Jason, he said, and I almost have to talk like him to say it. He said, Jay, he said, you've lapped that 1,000 times by now. A school like ETSU that chewed me up, spit me out, rightfully so. I turned 18 2 days into it, my freshman year. They write grants for me to do art now. That's a cool story.
That is.
That's a cool story kiddos need to hear.
Yeah. They
just heard it. One and a half.
Yeah.
Right? So, that's cool. If I was reading that, if I was 8, 9, 10, or 8 through 11, if I knew a local artist was like that, and it's still tangible and you can walk by, you can find where I'm at anytime and watch me work. Hear about it, because you're definitely going to hear about it. But that didn't exist. That did not exist. Back in the late 90s, even 2000s, you could not find somebody producing that wasn't already encouraged to get out of here. You're welcome to come back, and we'll pat you on the back. We'll even put you probably in the front page. But you got to go somewhere else, by God.
Sammy Nicely went to Atlanta.
Yes, right.
Gosh.
And then he passes, and everybody's like, "What a great,
yeah,
what a great." I'm like, no, I want to smell them flowers when my senses work, and I don't want. Again, all I do is give. All I do is give. All I do is give. The only time I take is from whatever shelves have paint on them. And then I produce. Like I was going to hijack this and put mine up. But I'm just saying, like it's not a pat on the back, or nor if it's not even playing a violin. It's just a story. My dreams are like Flack Avenue one day. I want my little sisters to drive down and go, man, that dude, I've been called crazy. Why do they always tell artists to calm down? I've been told to calm down in my own city.
I think that's just a lack of complete understanding.
Sure, yeah.
That is a total
Yeah,
lack
yeah.
of understanding.
Yeah, yeah. People would see, they talk about seeing unicorns all the time, right? We go like, oh, that's like seeing, you got one!
Right.
Don't let me die, and then start loving me.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee, if it's possible, if I'm a ghost, I'm coming after you. You get what I'm saying? But like, don't just like let our heroes pass. That's guy gal in between. Don't let us pass and then start wearing our T-shirt. My heroes were loud, and I was sick of just being quiet and just going, okay, the scenic painting, and no knock to the fine artists and stuff like that. But talk about misunderstanding. Like, do art I do art. People don't know what the heck's going on, but it's there for you to see. Yeah, yeah.
I remember when I first met you as an artist. I remember you as
Sure.
Science Hill, but
Sure,
as an
sure.
artist. And we had the conversation. We need to see more of us in the art world,
Sure.
and it's happening in this area. Not as much as we would see in other places.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see a change from when we talked
Sure.
to now having Juneteenth art show and another one, and that's going to be
For sure.
an annual event. And I cannot think of the lady who was at ETSU that did there's an art gallery downtown. Her name is right.
Marie
It's right
Cochran.
there. Who?
Marie Cochran.
No. It's another one, but I think she's the one that
Carlotta?
that did Carlotta.
Carlotta. Yeah.
She has
That was my
done
first
a
guess.
lot. Yes,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
she's the one that did the Afro.
She is a huge milestone on my timeline, journey, path. Absolutely. Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
beginning to see that reoccurring thing.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is- I contribute to you for being loud and quote unquote crazy.
Oh, I'll take
Whatever
you.
it
I've been
is.
called worse. Are you crazy?
Listen, I take that. I give that to you because people are looking and they're hearing and they're saying.
It's just energy.
And appreciate it.
It's just energy. My sister's energy had to go somewhere. It had to go somewhere. And I don't apologize for that. I used to.
Oh gosh, no.
I used to. It used to make me uncomfortable how I was. I used to think like when I walked out of rooms, people talked about me. I don't care if they do, but I'm saying that used to bother me so
Yeah.
much. But now I'm like I'm going to be written in history books.
Exactly.
I'm going to be in pictures, black or white, hopefully in color, because come on now. Right? But I'm just saying, I'm going to be in those pictures, and my son and my sisters, and everybody's going to see, like, yeah, we already knew that anyway. Now the only difference is y'all know now.
Yeah.
Because what I'm doing and what we are doing, because now it's we, not just me. Now I'll talk about me all day, but now it is we. If you're missing out on some of the art shows and art events that's happening when the sun goes down, you are missing out. If you're not there with the conversations that artists have, we come from all different backgrounds, all different everything. Where we're raised, where we're from. Some are implants, some are stationary, some are spinning backwards and walking backwards even. But those candid, uncensored, energetic, and very often awkward because artists are awkward. And that's a joke, but real too. But all of that, like I ask people like the movers and shakers, whoever that may be, the faceless names and nameless faces. But I don't mean that to be to discredit those, also known as gatekeepers, right? Come out when it's 7 p.m. when there's an art show. They're always from like 7 to 9 or something. Come out then, and then see us in our element.
Yeah.
And you will see a brewing renaissance. And if you miss it, too bad. But it's happening either way. You know what I'm saying? It's happening. It's happening right now. It's not under the surface no more. I used to go, and this is when I've been called crazy before, by I'll just say a group. I won't say the word, but by a group. And that's fine. Whatever. I'm tougher skin than that. And I probably am a little crazy. But I used to say like, I might have been saying it for comfort. I admit. That movement's coming. I meant contemporary modern art. Whatever I wanted it to be, it was on its way. And now we're not shin deep in it. We're waist deep in it.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing is just reminding you that.
But also that, from my perspective as somebody that's not necessarily an artist, that happens. That doesn't just happen. It's because of labor.
Yeah.
Because hours of labor.
That's something I try to tell people too. It's nothing. You can't skip the steps. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not just big mouth. Like I'll back it up. I just finished a painting today. Got to go to ETSU and give them a poster tomorrow. Yeah. It's real. Finally, finally I have worth, right? Yeah. And I hope that somebody can sit next to me or somebody can be across from me and feel the energy too. Mm-hmm. That's all. Yeah. and then, or just get out of the way.
I have a project in my head that we need to talk later. Well, what got you this passion to do what you do?
Oh, I was drunk.
Stop it!
Are those real flowers?
They are not.
They're not.
They are not.
I was always kind of the kid this nerdy kid that would always want to gather family photographs together. I couldn't stand to see like family photographs just in a shoebox, unorganized. Maybe I need therapy for that or something, but like I needed to
important.
It was a compulsion to make sure that like these family photographs were, in photo albums and organized. And so I as a young person, like I spent time doing that and also trying to understand where my dad's family came from. And why we didn't have so many photographs of them and why there was no information about them. When you do your 8th grade family tree, and it's like my mom has like a book or like a folder, and it's like, oh, it goes all the way back to, I don't know, Jesus or something. But it's like there's more. All that information is there already, and in looking at my pop's side of the family, it was like there's very little. I know my grandparents, so like who were their parents, and so that being nosy and wanting to feeling the need to fill that gap is the thing where I kind of cut my teeth on learning how to document Black history and research it, because it's a little bit different than researching white folks' history, right? And so you have to oftentimes read between the lines, pick up context clues. You have to trace back the slaveholder. So you're tracing back these white male landowners in order to find any mention of your folks. And this was before the internet. So that's where I kind of cut my teeth, and I always had like a penchant for documentation and preserving things. It's been kind of a thing. And so, yeah, and I've been lucky enough now at 47 to be doing it. I do this full time. It's my job, but it's been a lifetime of doing that, working factory jobs or, working no jobs, but still, like documenting things with VHS tapes, the big camcorders,
Yeah.
And I used to work at Channel 8 in Knoxville, the CBS affiliate. Also dropped out of college, got my GED, but I got a job at the television station at WVLT in Knoxville, and I would take my VHS tapes. I worked the overnight shift in master control, and so I had all this free time, so I'd take those VHS tapes and I would assemble edit. And so it was like manually editing on VHS tapes. And so I got good at that, and then I just learned how to make films that way, and was able to like roll it into working at East Tennessee PBS. And then at some point a window kind of opened to be able to focus on documenting Black history in the region, which there's tons of stories we all know about, especially if you're from here. And so, I'm just lucky.
What is the most amazing thing you've ever, I don't want to say stumbled upon, but in doing your research you found, oh my gosh,
Oh
I
man,
believe this,
that's a big question
that you can tell us.
that I could tell you. There's a guy named Jason Flack. No, I'm just kidding.
I know that dude.
Yeah, he's amazing. That's going to be the story people are going to be telling. We were researching a slave cemetery in Lee County, Virginia, and trying to find anything about who was buried in this alleged slave cemetery. And in looking in wills and estate records, I found my great-great-granddad listed. And so I had been, for 20 years, I've been trying to find out where. I knew he was from Virginia. I knew he was enslaved in Virginia. Born in 1847. His name was Kelson Harrison Isom. And I knew his name. I had a picture of him and his wife. But we didn't know where in Virginia he was enslaved at. It was a mystery. And so just by happenstance, 20 years after I began looking for him. I found him there in the record, and was listed as valued for $1,200.
Wow.
And the only reason he was listed in there is his slaveholder died. And so I always say, like, if you're researching your family, you really want the slaveholder to die, generally, but before the Civil War is over. And so if he dies before the Civil War is over, there's a good chance those family members' names will be listed as property and valued. So the estate will be assessed, and their names will be in there.
Yeah.
And we had which means we had this oral history in our family, like this tale that was told that, we've looked like this since before the Civil War. So the tale was Kelson was the son of an enslaved woman and a slaveholder, white slaveholder. And they had 13 children together, and as they got of age, 13 boys, as they got of age, he would manumit them. He would set them free, give them some money, and send them on their way as they got of age. That was the tale. Well, I heard that. And but as I got into that record and saw what happened after the slaveholder died, probably his father, the estate continued to rent these enslaved people out to other farms up until a point, and so it was recorded, the rent that the estate was bringing in on these folks. The last mention said whether or not these people were worked after the fall of Richmond is not for me to say. The fall of Richmond was the end of the Confederacy.
Yeah.
And so they worked them maybe a little after they were supposed to be emancipated, and somebody was trying to cover their butt. So that oral history we were talking about tales. It wasn't really just something we told ourselves to feel better about the situation. So that's probably one of the many.
And in case we have folks who just listen on the podcast, can you explain your racial background, makeup?
Yeah, my mom is white-ish, and my dad is black. Mm-hmm.
And then Jason?
I just found out that I'm English, Italian, and Nigerian and Cherokee. Just found that out.
Did you do DNA?
I did.
And you read up Cherokee?
Yeah. I thought we kind of a tale.
That's what I was going to say.
Right, because I grew up with redheaded kids saying, I'm Cherokee, though. Right. Like, shut up. But I was, again, that maybe a younger version of me inside of me now was sort of reluctant to find that out. Because there's some brothers and sisters across the water that probably look like my folks, look like our people. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little hard to wrap your head around. And also, too, there's some poor white people too. That's when I talked about like the baby deer. We would go visit our family in Johnson County. It's the most East Tennessee you can get, and we always kind of felt like baby deer to them. They kind of just pet us and like let us run in the yard. It was a different experience growing up, because I grew up predominantly with my dad's people, which are black and brown and red people, and then my mom's family was good people, but they were just kind of just slow country, and I don't mean intellect, but just countries. They just lived off the land and stuff. But my dad's people were like poetic and authoritative and loving, but also strong, tough. It was like emphasis on being pure and how they didn't know all this stuff. We're not, and whatever that means. But I always say, we grew up playing ball, and what do you think happened when I drove in the lane? What I'm saying? The one with the pretty hair, the girl sat next to you. What do you think happened to me? You know what I mean? So you had to grow up tough. You had to have some kind of merit about you. If you spoke, you had to have something to say. You weren't allowed in the kitchen for like a section of the day or whatever. One of my heroes is my Mamaw, Carolyn Brady. She passed away about 2 years ago. And she was the blackest member of my family. A lot of people don't understand that. You guys nod your head because you're not color, culture. She was the blackest member of my family. And I would run my quote-unquote black art to her almost as if I didn't need that, I don't think, but maybe I did. I would run that by her and say, what do you think of this? she was not a laurette or something, someone with a lot of words, but sometimes it would be this long, what she thought, or she remembers these tales and stories from her day. It's dirt floor living back in her day. Or it would be just, that's nice. So you just never knew what you were going to get. But she meant and means that much to me for me to run that by her, because as soon as I came on the scene, I had to first prove that I was from John City, basically. Talking like I'm talking. It was a whole lot of Tupac coming out of me. And people were like, where's that energy coming from? And, and because you're supposed to just be grateful, babe, And I'm like, I can be grateful and ambitious too. Here I am. But so I had to convince folks that I'm from here, and then on second degree, I had to convince that art matters. You can't do that by saying, I can't tell you art matters. I have to show you. Then I can show you evidence in my life. And then you can go, okay, cool, it matters to him, but it did. You can't say it didn't matter at some point. Yeah. And third, it was like, getting into the public, entering into the public realm. The first thing that happens, and this is no knock on institutions, but the first thing they want to see me as is a BIPOC. I never heard of that before. So I was like, I don't know.
I have a hard time remembering what those letters.
Yeah, I go.
But I just like
indigenous person of color.
It sounds like I'm always against stuff, but I think people need to think. I have opinions. I'm not BIPOC.
Yeah.
I'm not BIPOC.
Yeah.
They put it in front of mine. I didn't ask for them to put it in front of mine. I'm not BIPOC. I'm Jason. Number 8, 9, and 10 is what is on my skin. Reasons 1, 2, and 3 is hopefully why I'm in the door. First, because again, I'm on my soul journey. I ain't on no skin journey. Because I grew up and I was called white in a room. Then I would go to the uptown and I'll be the black friend. You see what I'm saying? That's confusing. So I'll moonwalk out of that confusing stuff, and then I'll start talking about stuff like my soul, which is colorless, which now is offensive. You say I don't see color or colorless. No, I'm talking about my soul.
This is me.
This is me.
Yeah.
And it's whatever you see is fine. That's great. But you will also see my soul, and there's evidence in color. There's colorful things I make because of my soul, right? So you can understand I won't say it's not bitterness, but maybe for lack of words, like you say BIPOC. I'm like, BIPOC, explain that. Because sometimes I get in rooms and there's people, first thing they say is I'm a person of color. They never seem curious. They never ask questions. They're just labeled.
Yeah.
And that's black and white. That's any.
I gotta put you someplace.
But it's just like you haven't met me then, because I'll jump out of boxes, then I turn around and paint boxes, then I might even sell that box. You see, I don't want to fit in boxes. I don't do group activities. The only time I believe in group thought is when a house fire. I don't do group. I parked on the side, but I was parked over here. I like doing my own thing. It's quite successful. No, I'm a Leo.
I'm a Leo too.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So, two sides, and not Gemini, but you roar and then you sleep. You rest but you can fight. You got it. You got the capabilities. But I don't, and it's not a knock to like if it's comfortable for somebody that's you can call me whatever. But it's not. I don't want to go away and say like these labels. I detest these labels or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm glad to be here too, but I was going to be here anyway, in my opinion, right? But BIPOC might be my 9th and 10th.
Yeah.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
I think, because it's like that's the least interesting thing.
Yeah, you know how much there is in me right now?
Yeah.
I can talk for 4 more hours.
And then the other side of that, for the people outside looking in, to identify with you as a person of color is a really big thing to that kid. Like in my head, the project we're talking about, in my head's talking. I envision having an area one Saturday in the day, not at 7 at night, where kids come in and everybody's got their own station and they're doing their art. Mm-hmm. And you're walking around looking at the art and encouragement, and they're like, he looks like me. Mm-hmm. This man looks like me. I can do this. And it's because of the BIPOC part.
Yeah.
But again, that's just not all you are.
Yeah.
You're more than that.
Yeah, I think the problem comes in if it's because I've seen you see a lot of performative diversity, right? Where you're trying to just bring people in for the sake of bringing them in.
I know what ESGs are. I know what checking boxes are. I don't care. I'm beyond that. But I just know what they are.
Talking about being able to see people doing stuff. And I'm sorry, this is the last time I'm going to mention this man's name, but like Sammy Nicely, like we grew up seeing him on his porch in Russellville, being weird, do it like covered in paint or
Had dreadlocks before even people knew.
yeah, didn't know.
Yeah,
He's
no doubt.
like, and he was always like so kind and nice, and would like show us what he was doing as kids. And then he would say, he would do this Africa to Appalachia thing. It was like, oh, and he would have like African art and all this weird shit. And it was like, okay, we can be a little different, and we could talk about like, what is this Appalachian thing? Like as a kid, I'm like, oh, what is this Africa thing? And so like early on, as a young person, seeing him and growing up seeing him, it's like allowed me to like dream and say, oh, I can actually, it's okay. Like it's fine to be weird and do what you want and create. And
Yeah. I could have benefited in my life seeing more weird than putting some type of social card catalog. You know what I mean? Like I would have dreamed of seeing a salmon. We would actually run into each other, but I was a very young boy. My mom and dad had to send us to summer school because mom and dad had to work. And I remember he was very gracious and he had a narrator's voice. He was just, and he made, we sort of like, if I remember straight, it was like a paper mache sort of Asiatic African mask, just kind of, I think he had a few examples or something you can kind of emulate from what he's doing, and real patient, real cool. I thought it was cool, but that, I didn't know that was going to matter because he would exit in 2015 and I would enter. And they often say like we're walking similar footsteps, you know what I mean? And so when I hear Sammy Nicely's voice, I get a lot of warmth inside because as an artist, like I'm just real. I just tell you, like I want to quit every day. Now unfortunately for the quitter team, I can't quit, but that doesn't mean I don't think about it. Like I think about it all the time. In my mind, I'm on a fence. And any old thing can knock me over, or any old thing can maybe support me. So when I'm compared, and I don't get lost in comparison, but when I know what that comes from when people say that. I'm like, man, okay, I'm on that fence a little bit more sturdy now. Someone's holding my hand, or someone's letting me use their shoulder, so to speak, with in support of recognizing that there's a journey and you're on the right path. That's all artists really want anyway, is the public or a person or their group, or sometimes the critter in the mirror to go like, you're still on it. Keep going. Keep it going. Because it's going to matter. Now, I have to motivate myself, sure. Not unlike anyone else. But I am highly motivated and highly energetic. And that's where I've been now a vessel with speaking opportunities. Not obligations. I used to say obligations. Opportunities. Because I do think of, my 9-year-old self, and we knew Bledsoe, we knew of Sammy, just knew of him. He was kind of like a phantom. If you didn't really catch him, you just knew of him. And then of course here we are talking about him, not now, but just in general. And he's got collections and all that stuff. I hope that man knew at the time, though. You get what I'm saying?
The last time I actually talked with Sammy was who was it? Sweet Honey and the Rock performed at ETSU, and he was there, and he was really close to, I think his opening that was going to be at ETSU. I'm not sure about that. But I grew up in Morristown, and I knew the Niceleys, and my mom was friends with his family. We all knew each other like that. And it was just great, tall, and just that voice. See, he's got that voice.
See, I that's attached to memory.
Right.
His voice. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But
Thank goodness.
That's an incredible thing. So, to pull you two together, are there other amazing black artists in East Tennessee from 50, 60 years ago that people should know about? We got Jason Flack from right now, Sammy Nicely. Who else?
I did a little short documentary about his life cannot be encapsulated in a 30-minute documentary, but Buford Delaney from Knoxville, and he was best friends with James Baldwin, and he left the region shortly after the race riot in Knoxville, and but hobnobbed with all the painters of the time, and he chafed at being put in that box as a black painter. And he really only found some freedom once he went to Paris and was able to kind of get out of that Jim Crow, those boxes.
And James did too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so many black, incredible people moved to Europe to be.
Yeah.
But
to plainly be.
But be like James Baldwin said, I want to be left alone.
Yeah. But Buford Delaney had a brother, Joseph Delaney, they were apparently polar opposites. They would walk in the same room together and not even talk to each other, right? But they loved each other, according to...
Different kind of love, huh?
Yeah. But Joseph Delaney stayed around East Tennessee. He left, but come back and spent a lot of time in Knoxville creating work. But he was completely different. He was straight. Buford was gay. Buford was very quiet and kind, and Joseph was apparently not. And he got drunk and hopped a train from Knoxville to Lynch, Kentucky to work in the coal mines for a little while. And and he would hobo around on the train and he would do probably things that are pretty cool sounding. But yeah, he stayed. He left and came back and stayed. Those are two that come to my mind immediately.
I don't know of black, brown, or red, as I say, artists ahead of me in time. But I know now, and I just missed a call. Not to be rude, I did look at my phone for a second. But Pam Fall, another artist, another black artist who's a friend of mine, his mother actually grew up with her son Jackson. We are with her efforts, really, not mine. I think mine's more billboarded, so to speak. Like you just see me in action. That's my version of community service. It's just you see a lot of action. I uncover a lot of rocks because of the quake. You know what I'm saying? But I know Pam, myself. There's now a handful, maybe going into a baker's dozen that are considered black artists. Whereas there was just me up and down the street at one time, or maybe another. You know what I'm saying? And then Doniqua, you got Joyner. She's I think she's in my probably top 7 favorite. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the level that she's on. You know what I mean? And
Doniqua, I think she is incredibly amazing. So if you're listening to Doniqua, you are incredibly amazing.
Yeah, right on.
So different in projection than you. Very quiet.
Yeah, kind of recluse, kind of you have to come to her.
You would never.
Yeah, no doubt.
You'd see her.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. When you see us, we had a round table. Matter of fact, I had Pam and Doniqua and myself, and I'm trying to think who else was in there. Javen Colley, and we were loud, even including Doniqua. When you close doors, you see, and that's the kind of stuff I wish was filmed too.
Yes.
Often put in slow mo and maybe black and white because everything's cool in slow mo. But
we got William right here.
But I'm just saying, that's the kind of stuff.
I'm in bed by the time they get that going.
I'm big on kind of pulling the curtain back because that's how you. I still am big nerd of superheroes and stuff. So I had trading cards. I had probably thousands. No joke.
That's great.
And I always like to see the action in front. And then in the back, it's first appearance, group affiliation, height, weight, power level, and then their bio. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do with this artist right now. Yeah. We deserve our bio anyway. I want to actually run the starving artist trope. I want to run it off a cliff. Because we ain't starving. No. We're producing.
And that is a stereotype of y'all just
and the thing about it is, it comes from the Renaissance. It's wild that something comes from that far back. Right? No. We're raising families and doing push-ups. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't I be so loud and trying to get these bios decorated and faces in photos? Everywhere I go, I'm glad we take pictures. Yeah. If we don't record it, who will? It'll just be another era where we just don't talk about it. Mm-hmm. Right. William just talked about how there's layers of just tales. You don't know if they're real or true. This is true. It's very, very tangible, very witnessable.
I know my family always said that we had Cherokee in us. And I did my DNA analysis not a bit.
Yeah.
But then I also heard that the Native Americans tend to not put their info, their DNA out there.
That's very true.
But also,
But I'm
a
wondering
lot
now-
of folks were exterminated.
Yeah,
so
that
they
too.
don't have
Yeah.
pure Native
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
DNA
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the Eastern tribes.
Very
because
true.
of genocide.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Yep.
So,
Sorry
quick
for the-
history lesson. You mentioned the Knoxville riot, race riot.
Uh-huh.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I bet you people will be like, does that relate to the Tulsa riot? I
It was the
talked about
same.
that 3 years ago.
So in 1919, this is the riot.
We're gonna let we're gonna let you take that home.
And there's some buildings here. There's a car.
1919 was deemed Red Summer by the
Yeah.
James Walden Johnson from the NAACP termed the racial violence that occurred in the United States in 1919 as Red Summer because the streets ran red with blood. So there's 25 such race riots that happened across the country. One of them happened in Knoxville, Tennessee, where Maurice Mays, a young mixed man, black man, was who was the son of the mayor of Knoxville at the time, was accused of raping a white woman. Come to find out, there was a serial rapist on the loose. He didn't, people believe he didn't do it. Most certainly didn't do it. The cops didn't like him because he was canoodling with white ladies. He was a kind of a player and also a little bit of a criminal. So the cops had it out for him anyway. They blamed him. A white mob gathered to lynch him. They snuck him out. But the white mob then proceeded to loot downtown Knoxville of weapons and proceeded down to the black section of Knoxville, which is in the Old City-ish area, Vine Street, and was going to do violence in the black neighborhood, business district of Knoxville at the time. And but what happened was the black residents, many of them who were Spanish American War veterans, decided to fight back. So they they did military barricades, and we're like, oh, we know what to do. We did this before, and they, God, man, my memory is bad. One of those veterans is the one that died. He was the main organizer of the self-defense that happened there in Knoxville. He was from Rogersville originally. I'll think of his name later, but like a handful of people were killed in the riot. Nobody ever served any real time in jail for their participation in the riot, and some black families fled Knoxville at that time. It also happened in Corbin, Kentucky in 1919. They expelled all the black people out of Corbin, Kentucky in 1919, which set in Corbin's reputation as a sundown town. Bad time.
And that is not, again, not ancient history.
It was 100 years ago.
Yeah, my grandfather was born in 1918.
My grandmother was born in 1919.
Oh, wow.
So like
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah, just about 2 or 3 heads away. That's all.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes.
You
Yes,
should
guy.
go, Michelle. I'm just interjecting.
Oh no. I was
gonna ask William, where did you grow up mainly, and what was your experience like as a mixed kid in that situation?
I grew up in Hamlin County, close to the Nolichucky River, close to Whitesburg. And I grew up out in the country, so I was a country kid, kind of first and foremost, and didn't really understand that I was a child of color or black or mixed until I went to, I got to maybe, interacting with people from town, and that is like, oh, you go to town and this is where this weird thing happens. Grew up with other children of color in my community, white kids also, and so some of my best friends growing up were like white kids. Taco and Charles Short and
Shout out.
Jerry Davis. We'd ride. I had a moped, and so we'd ride my moped and go have fun, just do fun kid stuff out. Play in the creek and get dirty and mess up my good shoes and get in trouble. And, pester the cows, stuff that country kids do. And so, yeah, I mean, I really didn't understand race and class and my position as a country person of color until I left to go to Middle Tennessee State University. I went to MTSU, still dropped out, but that's when I really understood that, like, oh, my accent is a problem.
Yeah.
And like, oh, also how I look is a problem. People don't know what to do with me. Like, what is this anomaly that in their presence? And so that's something that, and then you start to understand how important and valuable where you're from is.
When you were in high school, did you have, well, I'm sure you're younger than me, so you went to school, it was not segregated, you were other black and white kids, but no big deal. Was it a big school, high school?
I went to Morristown East.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't play, I ran cross country. I didn't play any sports. I mean, real, like
That's
football.
sport.
I mean, it's a sport, kind of. What was the question?
Yeah, like, so a lot of times we ask folks, when did you realize you were black? Or when did you realize there was a race issue going on?
Can I answer that too after him?
Yes.
I've
yes,
got to
you
get
did.
one. Yeah. Go ahead though.
But you noticed when you went to college, so high school.
Yeah. Well, high school, I hung out with the football players. They were all my friends. I didn't play football, but, we all all the black kids kind of hung out together in high school. And so there's some kind of book or something, somebody's like, wow, the black kids eating at the table or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Black kids at the same place in the cafeteria.
Yeah. Well,
Together.
and I grew up in the hip hop generation. And so it was, we all listened to the same music. The Chronic came out, Outkast came out. So we were listening to like hip hop. They were playing sports. We were chasing girls. We were probably like drinking when we shouldn't be drinking and getting into mischief. But so I guess it was a progression. In elementary school, there was only two of us, me and Chris Shelton, and I think Sheila Shelton was in there too. So there were three of us, and we rode the same school bus. So we were around each other. And then in middle school, there were a few more kids, but not many. Went to East Ridge Middle School. And so I don't know. I feel like that there was always like maybe once a year there was a fight, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like Red Summer.
Right.
It was
always like someone slipped and said the N-word.
Yeah. And you gotta fight, and then that's it. And sometimes, so yeah, there were little fights and stuff, but my community and my family around me and my family's friends, like I always felt nurtured and loved and cared for. And so I feel like I was isolated or insulated from some of these things, apart from the interactions with, other kids that didn't know you, and so you'd have to fight. But I can say there's one thing I can say, like things really clicked for me around Rodney King, the beating of Rodney King, and not his beating, but I can remember riding in the car with my mom and listening to the radio when they acquitted the police officers of the beating. And it was at that moment, a lot of things opened up. I'm like, oh, they don't care about us. Like, they don't care about us. And the language that the judge was using and the reporters were using to talk about the not guilty verdict sounded just like the principal or the teacher, whenever I would get in trouble, justifying to my parents while I was suspended or it's the same kind of bureaucratic like language.
Clinical sort of.
Clinical reason for and it really clicked for me. It was like, oh, the whole system does not care about us. Yeah. And so I was like 17, I think at the time, 16.
How about for you?
Yeah, some memories came up in my head as he spoke, because I haven't buried him for any reason, but it just reminded me as he was speaking. We were called Rainbow Kids by my Aunt Carolyn, who passed away last year. She was a Cherokee black woman from Western North Carolina, and jovial lady, gossiper, neighborhood gossiper. Grew up on Myrtle and Kingsport, and dirt poor people. You know what I mean? But meals were fixed every night. Scrapping, and us being so I didn't know. Like I didn't have a realization when I remember we do a head count. Like there's a couple of us here and there. I remember that, but we were like, families would pack the house when the twins came, and not because they're little brown, but we were Derek and Sheila's offspring, and we were so many things to them. And you'd have to part the river, you have to part the sea to get to usually the cornerstone, the grandmother, everybody wanted to touch your hair. They wanted to kiss you. My great granddaddy used to like bite our feet as a little baby, even like up to like probably 4 or 5 years old. He just wanted to bite our feet. He was a hardworking man. But he had a soft spot. But so we were kind of celebrated for being, I guess for lack of words, so mixed. Carolyn would say, "Oh, it's my baby, my rainbow babies," and she'd tickle our arms. We'd fall asleep. But so I don't know. Like we were very aware that we were colorful, but there's a lot of poets and a lot of artists around. There was a lot of ball playing. There was a lot of competition. There was a lot of like ladies' men in the family. There was a lot of like pursuit of dreams, but there was also a lot of dreams that just and we were aware of that. There was always the kind of homeboy that was already in his 30s living in downstairs. He ain't doing nothing. Don't be like him. Be somebody else. Yeah. He come here and take trash out. That's all he does. That kind of stuff. So life lessons due to our family, due to family members. But one thing I got in a discussion. Matter of fact, it was actually in front of the Tipton Street Gallery not too long ago. And his brother came up, and he was darker skinned gentleman, right? And he really liked my art, but he was from I remember he was more southern, so he's like Mississippi or something. And he really was put off by me saying I was black. He really did. I mean, not like he didn't like it, but he thought like, you don't have a plight, right? Like, and I'm sitting here going, wow, like this is unusual because I haven't felt that way since I was little. Like where black people test it, like, whoa, dude, you got good hair and you can speak well. Isn't that wild that we'll associate ourselves with that? Like, isn't it wild that we'll already say we're oppressed all the time? Isn't it wild that we'll always say that speaking well is white? I always found that interesting. Yeah. You get what I mean?
I got that from a teacher.
Right? I'm sure you did. Doesn't surprise me.
About 6 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure you speak so well. But I get it from all sides. Again, I'm black or white.
Well, in that we've had several biracial folks on. And they talked about the struggle of trying to.
You're the color gray. I just had a show in Morristown. Defy the color gray. It meant so much more than just that sentence. It's very, very open, that meaning. But defy the color gray. I always felt like a color gray. Now it's where I dance and it's where I excel. But it's back then it was where I was stuck in the mud and scared and didn't know what to listen to or be. Or you talking about hip hop, and it's like I grew up. My mom and dad finally could move us out into a house. So I was with white boys listening to Sublime and Red Hot Chili Pepper. Right. Then I go back to my old neighborhood.
I'm like, now I know who you're talking about.
Right? Okay. But then I go back to my Mema's neighborhood where we were from. And don't bring that Sublime shit up in here.
Oh my gosh.
White boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, take that skating, stupid skating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we were skating, and then I go out and play ball and do all this stuff. But I want to bring up one thing I told that gentleman, and he was super cool, but he absolutely recoiled when it came to me saying I had identified as a black person, a brown person, and he had an issue with that, and I told him, I said, I can tell you, I can't convince you. You're looking at me. I can't lie to you. But here's what I can say to people. Two things in dating, dating in high school. My family say don't date nobody brown. That's a brown experience. You know why? Right. William can probably tell you why. Don't date nobody brown from here. Do you know why?
They might be related.
There you go. You might, and it turned out it almost happened, right? So but that's not the big thing. So I date a white girl. This is an eye opener. This is when William goes to school and realizes like he's mingling in town and goes like, this is my moment, right? And I'm already really kind of driving at this point. Yeah, I'm driving at this point. And I remember having the talk from meeting my girlfriend at the time's parents, right? People go, what's the talk? The talk is the warning. You know what the warning is? The warning is my dad doesn't like black people. And you're telling me now. So I told that gentleman that. I'm like, well, so I have that experience. I don't want that experience. But that man that I met walking down that driveway and ended up meeting him didn't care for me. And I'm in his house. So I have a black experience. I have a potential harmful experience and all that stuff. So I always felt like I was like convincing people. But I never had to really think of that. It rose up when you were speaking. It was just like... I'd hate to say that's just a black experience, but what else do you call that? When somebody says, my dad doesn't like black people. As if they don't like housefly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So, but then here I am again, listening to Sublime with a Muhammad Ali t-shirt on. You get what I'm saying? I'm supposed to be confused. I'm supposed to not know, but too late. It's too late. I know my value now.
There's a great documentary. I don't know if it's on this is off the subject a little bit, but it's about where skateboarding and hip hop met.
Oh wow!
It's called "All the Streets Were Silent."
Oh, I'm checking that out.
Yeah, you gotta check it out.
I'm gonna check that out.
I watched it the other night. It was dope.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the streets are silent.
Brittany, tell that story of you asked those black girls to go to a concert.
Oh, that was ridiculous. Yeah, so I did my DNA. I'm 60-40. And so I couldn't even, I know it's plain math and a half, but you grow up in a predominantly white neighborhood, go to predominantly white schools, and this is in New Orleans. And so I grew up listening to Incubus, 9 Inch Nails, Slipknot, and all
Linkin Park or something. Rest in peace, Chester.
We moved up to Akron, Ohio. I don't remember who was the artist. Oh, I do remember. Yeah. And so I was with the Junior League of Akron, Ohio, and I was like trying to make friends with the, you identify with the black folks first because those are the people who talk to you, and, And so I'm like, y'all, there's a Nick Jonas concert coming to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Y'all want to go? Yeah, who's Nick Jonas?
Oh my gosh. They thought you was talking about somebody in the Bible. Dang.
That's why I had to move back it's like you try to just be yourself, and it's either you're playing white or playing black.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just...
and now it's cool to be like awkward and weird. Like if I grew up now, like I would be cool. I wasn't. I thought I was cool. It was all facade, but I was more internally. I was very confused and felt alone. And that was with my twin existing and still. So I cared about her more than I cared about myself. And I don't now because she doesn't exist anymore. That's hard to say, but it's real. But when she was here, I didn't care about myself. I cared about her. So you can imagine what kind of weapon it is when you want to maybe. I'm like a live wire. I want to be a useful weapon, but a weapon of love and art, But look back at people that might be feeling the way I felt, or maybe William felt, or the way Brittany felt. And get rid of all that weirdness and all that, but maybe actually even embrace the weirdness. Because now, like I said, now it's cool to like be you can see a young lady or boy or girl, whatever, wear like a Spider-Man t-shirt. Like we used to get bullied for having comic books. We literally like the movie trope. You had to put them in a book
to hide them.
Yeah, like kids would roll them up, rip them, whatever. Then they found out who my dad was, and they were like, they wouldn't do that no more. but I'm saying, but like that. Now it's cool to kind of like lean into how weird you can be, and I say that as a good thing. I don't diss this generation or whatever. I think we're too fast, and I think our society doesn't turn off, which scares me.
Now we can. I hear young people saying, "I'm biracial. I'm multiracial." Right. When I was coming up, I'd be like, "I'm biracial." People would be like, "Get your black ass over there."
They used to call us yellow. You're so yellow.
Yeah, I mean, you so yellow. It's like I'm biracial. I didn't even know what that was. It'd be like, you better. Yeah. You said you.
Now y'all are saying that, but we had Faye Rutledge here 2 months ago, and she was saying there's kids in Jonesboro at the high school who are biracial, and they are not claiming it.
Okay, I mean, I think you have.
Yeah.
I think
she's worried about it.
Oh, it's a problem, or
yeah. So they're not.
Well, and is it you're not claiming Because I've seen some hair.
Do y'all remember her saying that?
Yeah.
So,
But I think it's that they're predominantly, it's a predominantly white school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two like black
Mm-hmm.
and some biracial kids. And I think is that you don't want to claim your blackness because you need to fit in with the whiteness here.
and these are kids.
They're not claiming their blackness. Oh,
I mean, you can look at them and see.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Okay.
see
Well,
the lips.
let me just say something.
Oh, that's
and these are kids.
yeah.
High school kids.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the
You guys-
situation.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
They,
I'm afraid there's people not feeling who they are.
but they're kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll get out of school, and then they'll blossom.
They'll
We
wake
get
up.
kind of wrapped up in like,
Yeah.
are they 14? They're not knowing what they. Oh,
what
let's
are they
just
doing?
chill because I'm 37. I just now figured out how to do certain things.
Yeah.
So I'm 36.
So like, here's the thing. Here's the thing about kids and claiming they have no social clout or financial clout at all.
Oh, yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
They'll get out of school or next year,
Yeah.
when whatever's cool, or they'll see somebody on TV that's swinging their hair, or like I saw Lenny Kravitz and Bob Marley. I was like, oh snap,
Yeah. Yeah.
those dudes are awesome.
Yeah.
And they'll even if they don't claim blackness, they ain't got no choice.
Right.
They look in the mirror.
Somebody's going to tell them.
Or in the mirror, stop depending on society to tell you stuff. If I listen to society, you would not see me here wanting to replace L. Hubbard's. No disrespect, but stop depending on society to tell you what and who you are. It'll get you in trouble.
Where is L.
Be an
Hubbard?
individual.
Where's L. Hubbard at?
Yeah, shout out to L. Hubbard. Follow me on Instagram.
19.
But I'm just saying, society will tell you all kinds of stuff. I grew up where they said, be an individual. I just told you about 30 minutes ago about how I can't stand group thought unless there's a house fire. I want everybody to be on the P's and Q's then. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying don't follow leaders. But then what I want to say is follow leaders, learn from leaders, and be leaders. Be individuals. I didn't work this hard to be an individual. It hurts. The metamorphosis sometimes is very rigid and very obtuse and hurtful. But it's necessary. And those kids who don't claim this or that also probably don't pay bills yet.
Yeah.
Also don't get the looks yet or the compliments yet.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Or the compliments that they're getting.
Because really, mixed kids are dope. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Best of both worlds. We're mostly cute. There's some of us kind of look a little, you know. But I'm just saying, like, but those kids, they're just it's osmosis just temporarily though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a while.
We are down
It takes a
to
while.
like last few minutes. So if you have a question, what is a question that you would have for William?
Oh, shit.
We're going to
man.
ask you the same.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
I'll squeeze in two. One's well, both are personal. If I had 1.2 questions, 1.1 question. First, it would be, when you need some more art, please hire me. Second though,
That's the question.
I just want I don't know if it's more of a request, but I want you to know that I support your journey, archiving these lost hidden things under stone, and if you keep finding more Flacks, here's my next question. Please let me know. but I do mean that. All joking aside, I value William. I do call him a big brother. We did not even shake hands. We hugged when we first physically met. So anytime he wants me to do anything for free, I'll do it. So really, that would be it. If you need anything from me, please let me know. Would be the legit question. Seriously.
Yeah. You always get paid for labor, even if you don't want to get paid.
That's why I love you, brother.
If you had a crop duster airplane full of paint, what would you do with it?
Oh, wow.
I would paint over things that some people probably wouldn't enjoy me saying, but I would paint over. I would repaint.
You get multicolors in it.
Yeah. And I can spit the paint out and it can be designed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love this. There would be certain monuments. There'd be certain buildings. There'd be certain. There'd even be military bases that would have my art on them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
You got one to pick. What would it be?
one to pick. I would
one tank of gas.
one jet fuel tank of gas. Man, that's a great question. I feel like a dunce with mine.
No.
I would probably paint something for North Koreans to look at. I hear it's not too well over there. it couldn't feed them, couldn't really help them, or maybe drop some down in Africa or something. I don't know. That's just how I would think. It's not food, and I'm not an architect or an engineer, but it could maybe spark something. Yeah, something like that. Like in a gray and beige world, that's where I attack. Certain things attack bacteria. That's what I do. Beige and gray is bacteria. I am the bacteria eater. I'm the antibiotic or whatever. You know what I mean? So to answer your question, I would drop something. Not to say even just my art, but if I could drop color on a world that's because there's some places in the world where it's over. There's people with nothing eating grass or crawling to a puddle to, water was waiting on us in here. You know what I'm saying? So I if I could drop paint, it could be biodegradable and nutritious. It would be water based, and they could drink it maybe. But that's just thinking far out. See how it can go. but I'm just saying that's what I do. Just paint a beige and gray world. Not if, but because it's needed.
I love that.
No, I see that as like bringing art and color and inspiration to a place that might not have any concept of it.
Right. Including some pockets of Jonesboro, Johnson City, Bristol, Kingsport, and surrounding Elizabeth and surrounding areas.
Greenville.
Greenville. Yeah.
Huntersville.
But no, that just because hope is not a strategy, but it is a bright light in darkness. You get what I'm saying? And I wanted to take my life. You know what I'm saying? A life now I value so much. A life now that I know that my mom and dad would have, I don't know what they would have done, losing two in two different ways. So I just value life, and I know what art did to me and it keeps doing for me. I wouldn't be here again. I wouldn't be talking to you guys. So it's super cool. This stuff will be recorded and witnessed and watched, and it's a really dope existence. It's really cool. So if I had the chance to have a jetliner go over a place and it wouldn't be considered pollution, I would definitely let it loose. For sure.
That's great. Wow. This has been a fabulous episode.
And see, I've just warmed up again. You see what y'all do to me? See what y'all do to me?
You just gotta run some laps.
Yeah.
I might do it around this building too.
And thank y'all for ignoring my two children who
Oh, they were
have
cool.
been walking in and out of the room
And eating snacks.
and eating snacks. So
Yeah, they were
that was
cool.
the never-ending bag of Cheetos.
Right on cue, too.
Podcast.
That was the only bag they had. They had to make it last.
Yeah.
It was one bag,
Yeah.
one snack bag.
It
That
was
just
great. It was great.
kept on
Yeah.
giving. So.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Oh, yeah,
for
thank
joining
you.
us.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Anytime.
It's been wonderful.
Go for number 3.
Let's do it.
Right.
Right now.
Definitely.
I could, for real. Well, I guess this is so good for me because this beats talking out loud in the kitchen.
I just like playing with these flowers.
That's a riot. That's not flowers. That's a riot.
That's the riot.
Second, calling might be flower
Yeah.
arranging.
I can get down. I can get down.
Yeah.
Do it.